Winter Wonderland.
Hollywood tycoon.
He dated the most beautiful, sometimes two at a time.
Aviation pioneer.
He built the largest plane ever, yet flew it only once. Craved adulation, yet hated crowds.
Recluse.
Imagine life in a darkened room, naked, body unwashed, hair, beard, nails uncut.
The Extraordinary Secret Life of Howard Hughes, tonight at 9 on 4.
All is not what it seems for the boys of Blue Watch.
She's hiding something, I know that.
You're good for me, you know. I want you to stay.
Remy? Remy!
Where's your guard dog then? Back in her kennel?
What's happening? You know I'm beating out with...
London's Burning, Sunday at 9.
Well, Nikki Campbell spins the Wheel of Fortune in half an hour, but first, Granada tonight.
Tonight, the failures in the health service, which it's claimed led to the death of a 10-year-old boy.
An international fraud which is costing British business £300 million a year. We have a special report.
And as the schools prepare to break up for Christmas, we join the class for studies in how to play Santa. That's Granada tonight.
A 10-year-old boy dies after a series of health service failures.
Yes, good evening. An investigation is underway tonight after a schoolboy was shunted around 3 northwest hospitals in search of a brain scan. One hospital turned him away because he arrived after its scanner had been switched off due to lack of funds. Nicholas Geldard was eventually driven 45 miles through a snowstorm to Leeds, where he was declared dead. Tonight, his family claimed Nicholas had been let down by the NHS. Angela Piers reports.
Nicholas Geldard was a very special child. The youngest of 3 sons, he was born 2 years after the family had lost a baby daughter to leukemia.
Having already lost a child, he was everything to us. He was just so full of life. He's so intelligent. He had everything to live for. No one had a bad word about him. He had a really bright future ahead of him, and it's just gone now.
Last Thursday, Nicholas was playing with a friend when he collapsed. He'd had a brain hemorrhage, but no one found that out for another crucial 12 hours. He was taken to the Accident and Emergency Department at Stockport Infirmary. He was then admitted to Stepping Hill. By the time that Nicholas arrived here at Stepping Hill Hospital in Stockport, it was too late for him to have a scan. The scan is only operational between the hours of 9 and 5 during the day. He was put in a bed on the paediatric ward, but had another hemorrhage in the early hours of the morning. Nicholas was then taken to Hope Hospital in Salford, where there was a scanner working. It was discovered exactly what his condition was and that he needed surgery. But there were no intensive care beds available there, so he was driven through a snowstorm to Leeds General Infirmary. But he arrived too late for doctors there to help him. Now the Stockport MP wants to know why Nicholas was allowed to die.
There are 2 resource issues here. Why a scanner, which cost £1 million and was paid for by voluntary subscription from the people of Stockport, does not work after 5 o'clock at night. And the second resource issue is why, when he had had a brain scan at Hope Hospital, there was not an intensive care bed available in the whole of Greater Manchester, and he had to be transferred across the Pennines to Leeds.
The Stockport hospitals have launched an inquiry. But these cards from friends to Nicholas's family show how deeply the 10-year-old will be missed.
Only the other day he was looking forward to Christmas and saying how nice it was to walk through the snow. And on Friday we're going to see him buried. I'd like to know, why this has happened. It's just not fair at all.
Granada Television has announced the launch of 8 new satellite channels next year. Its flagship channel will be Granada Gold Plus, which will screen classic TV favourites from both our archives here and at London Weekend Television. Most of the channels will be based in the northwest, creating up to 200 new jobs. With more details, here's our political correspondent, Alison Tarpey.
This time next year, avid Coronation Street fans will have the opportunity of watching every one of the 3,000 episodes of the popular soap, right back to when it hit our screens 35 years ago. The street, as well as other classic programmes like Jeeves and Wooster and Sherlock Holmes, will be broadcast through the Astra satellite system on Granada Gold Plus. It's just one of 8 satellite channels revealed by Granada Television today through the formation of a joint venture with B-Sky B, creating Granada Sky Broadcasting. The lifestyle channels will include health and beauty, food and wine, motoring, Granada Talk TV and a shopping channel. Making the announcement today, Granada executives said it was a pioneering move into the multi-channel future.
We're absolutely delighted we've scored yet another first in British television. We're one of the first companies to be granted an ITV licence. We're one of the first to invest in satellite television in the 1980s. And we're now the first UK terrestrial broadcaster to create our own national pay TV channel. We view this not only as an exciting, but a very logical and profitable way to grow our television interests.
But what benefits will there be for the North West?
The only thing that's based in London is the overall management structure, basically to be near our sales base and to be near the Sky headquarters as such, so that's why it's based in London. All of the programming will either then come from here, this building, or the North West as such, so the programme making and the programme base will in fact be in the North West.
And Granada says the new venture will create 200 jobs in London and the North West. All the channels will be available through the Astra system, but Granada has stressed that none of its current programmes made for ITV will transfer to satellite. It'll cost £10 million to put the channels on air, and Granada expects the venture to be in profit within 3 years.
Well, the news follows an announcement that even more jobs are to be created around the TV industry here in the North West. Just over 1,000 vacancies are expected at Knowsley on Merseyside with the expansion of the cable and satellite shopping channel QVC. Mark Owen takes up the story.
In case you don't already know, QVC, the shopping channel, looks like this.
It opens up this door, advances the cheese out to the...
And this is where its new building will be based. The site on the Knowsley Industrial Park in Kirkby will be open next year, creating 1,100 new jobs. News exclusively revealed on Granada Tonight yesterday. It will expand, making a further 1,000 jobs by 1998.
Well, we looked at over 100 sites in our initial search, and we've settled on this one because of the accessibility to the motorways and also because of the wonderful support we've received from the people here in Knowsley.
Behind me, work is well underway on the clearance of the site, and this is the third day of good news for jobs on Merseyside. On Monday, there was the Objective 1 announcement. Yesterday, the money from the single regeneration budget, bringing a running total of cash coming into the area of over £100 million, plus the promise of more than 10,000 jobs. This latest announcement, a £40 million private investment by QVC, bringing 1,000 jobs into Kirkby, where unemployment can run at up to 50%, is very good news indeed.
And still to come on Granada Tonight, why Scylla turned to Blackpool for help 30 years on after running into a lot of trouble with the Department of Transport. Stay with us for that, but first it's over to So Rahman in Liverpool for the rest of the day's news. So,
thank you, Andrew. First here in Liverpool, a 15-year-old boy has been sentenced to 4 years detention for stabbing a man to death with a penknife. At the city's Crown Court, the judge said it was another tragic case where a life had ended after a knife attack. The boy's from Blackburn but can't be named for legal reasons. He denied murdering 25-year-old Paul Jury but admitted manslaughter on the grounds of provocation. Police are questioning 2 men tonight about the murder of a Liverpool man who was gunned down in the street. Paul Ogbui was attacked by gunmen in the Toxteth area of the city earlier this month. He was 23. The men are being held at Admiral Street Police Station. Unemployment's down again in the region according to the latest government figures. The number of people out of work in the North West is down on last month by 1,600 to 244,000. 8.4% of the population is now out of work in the area. That's still higher than the national average. An update on the docker strike in Liverpool now in its 12th week. Dock managers meet the General Secretary of the Transport and General Workers Union next week for more talks on ending the dispute. 70 tugboat workers went on strike yesterday in support of the dockers who were dismissed in September for taking unofficial strike action. The tugmen returned to work last night, claiming their action as a success. Now, can you help the police trace a man who went missing in Liverpool at the weekend? Philip Fudge, who's 21 and from Hull, was at a party on HMS Eaglet at the Pierhead on Saturday when he disappeared. He was last seen walking near the Pierhead terminal at about midnight. Police say he'd argued with friends. If you can help, the number's on your screen now. It's 0151 777 4430. A mother from Merseyside will be needing extra space around the Christmas table after giving birth to quads. Chelsea, Rebecca, Danielle and Natalie were born to Helen Jones from Bootle. The quads were delivered at Fazakerley Hospital in a 2-minute caesarean operation. The birth is particularly special as they're conceived without fertility treatment. There's usually only a 1 in 700,000 chance of having quads normally. Well done. Now it's back to Andrew and details of a special Granada Tonight report. Andrew.
That's right, so it started with a simple phone call. 6 weeks later, a businessman from Cheshire had lost a fortune. Tonight we look at an international scam involving Nigerian fraudsters who are targeting hard-up businesses in the northwest. But others throughout the UK have fallen for it too. In fact, it's costing British businesses and charities £300 million a year. Andy Gill now with a special Granada Tonight investigation.
Last June, someone in Nigeria posted a letter to Cheshire. It was addressed to a retailer whom we've called John. We've used an actor to take his part, but the voice you hear is John's own, slightly altered.
I was sitting in my office one morning. My business is a bit in trouble, and I was wondering where I was going to pay my debts from. And this letter appeared on my desk, offering me the sum of 30% of $30 million. For what apparently appeared to be absolutely nothing.
The letter was from a man claiming to be a Nigerian government official. He said he wanted to transfer more than 30 million dubiously obtained dollars overseas for safekeeping. If John let him use his bank account to transfer the money into, they'd give him a 30% cut, attempting $10 million. But first, John had to send copies of his company's letterhead and agreed to help pay expenses.
I called him and he faxed me a letter in reply to say, yes, you know, it really is true, and all that was required was a sum of $7,500 for audit and signing fees.
John sent the $7,000 but received nothing back. He then sent $38,000 after being told that was needed to bribe an official. He still received no money back. Next, he sent $180,000 as a security deposit and again received no money. He sent a total of £150,000. John was a victim of what's called an advance fee fraud. Criminals in Nigeria claim to have money to send, but when victims like John send their expenses to an account, in his case in America, the money disappears. The contacts in Nigeria then rapidly repeat the vanishing act. We telephoned a man calling himself Prince Ike Okum, who'd written